Welcome to another episode of the Pentecast podcast. My name is Andrew Bella, your host. Alongside me is my good friend Ryan Sellers.
Good to be back, everyone.
How are you feeling, Ryan?
I feel like a new man. I was at the precipice of death just a few short days ago.
Yeah, and so was I. Because if you didn't hear, Josh Kimbrell filled in for you, and ever since he filled in, he has decided he wants to come on full-time on the podcast. What says you?
There goes our ratings.
Dude, I don't want to hear that garbage.
Well, we want to welcome all of you to the podcast today. In today's episode, we have a special guest, Brother Phillip Guthrie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Brother Phillip has been one of those on the, we have a hit list. If you want to know about that, all you listeners and viewers, we have a hit list, and your name might be on it. So if you get a call or a text from me and Ryan, better watch out because we want to hear your testimony.
Yep.
And so, Brother Phillip, I saw you at a restaurant months ago, and when I saw you, I thought first and foremost, I said, I've got to get your testimony. I've got to get it on our podcast because you're just a unique person. And not only that, we want to give honor and reverence to a veteran. So Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. Great to be here. You know, I don't know how different I am, but
very different.
You know what? I think timing is everything. I don't know. You know, I know you did talk to me pretty good a while back.
Yeah.
But I just never did. You know, maybe it was I just never did feel to come on. But this last time when you talked to me, I was like, I'm ready. Do that. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, you said that you've been excited for a few days.
I have.
That always helps my feelings, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it always helps my feelings because, you know, you mentioned we've had some time to talk, getting the staff here, and
I hope I'm warmed up.
You're warmed up completely.
You should be.
Yeah.
I'm only an hour and a half late.
No, it's fine. Well, you know, we were talking about some of the previous episodes where it seemed like Ryan and mainly myself, did all the talking when we had a guest on.
That's for sure.
And it's not because we want that.
Okay.
No.
It's not because we want that.
No.
It's because the other person's looking at me going, and it's like,
I'm trying not to be that guy.
it's like, tell me your story. They're like,
Right.
yeah.
Story.
Dig it out of me.
Yeah, it's like, so how did you get saved? The blood. and then they just stare off into space. Right. I'm like, wow, okay. And then I've got to, God forgive me, I've got to lie. I'm like, wow, what an amazing testimony. Knowing I'm not telling the truth. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Say it again.
Yeah.
You know, so you're definitely.
The blood.
Yeah, this is for the record. Now say that one more time. Nice and loud.
Yeah, all the people that have been on our podcast are like, was he talking about
Exactly.
Well, go listen to your own episode. You know I'm talking about you.
Sounds like you got some pent-up feelings.
Yeah, I forgot you were here.
Dude.
Yeah. So anyways, we want to welcome Brother Phillip, and I am so glad that you're here. And I like to ask this question, especially when Ryan and I are getting a testimony. Where does it begin?
Where does my testimony begin?
Yes.
Well, let me first say this is a great thing you guys are doing. I mean, you're reaching people that, you know, nobody else can reach, I don't think. I mean, there's a lot of folks that's out there.
I appreciate
maybe
that.
you've never been, maybe you hadn't been to church yet, but you're on your way.
That's right.
You know, by you know, checking these guys out and listening, because I've listened to several episodes and I love it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'll lay in bed and check it out and just listen as long as I can till I got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, that's
awesome.
Great. I like this.
We're helping people go to sleep one bed at a time.
I don't need that. You're my medication. But so my testimony starts. I was raised in a holiness home. I'm the youngest out of 7, and always been called the baby. Yeah. You know, so I always had to play catch up somewhere. I always had to be maybe a little tougher than I really was. You know, but anyway, so I was my earliest memories of church, I'd say, and I didn't think I'd really say this because there's really nothing to it, but I do remember being up under the benches and seeing how all those other rebellious kids stuck chewing gum to the bottom of the benches. And I don't think I ever actually stuck it to the bottom of the bench. I may have got some and chewed on it a little bit, put it back.
Put it back for the next kid.
No, maybe not. But so my story goes like this. I prayed, probably like a lot of other young people do that are raised up in church. I prayed from time to time, and just never really made a full commitment to the Lord. But when my brother Tommy and Paul prayed, Paul I think was probably about 16 years old. Yeah. And Tommy he's 5 years older than me. So anyway, they actually prayed in the same revival and got saved, and I could have got saved in that revival. But I just kind of let myself, drift away, and I would, the older I got, it seems like the older you get, the more freedom you think you have, and I had cousins, when I was a teenager, the big thing was to have an amplifier in your car, I mean, where you could twist you could tweak it out, you had music. And
your headlights would dim?
Yeah. Now they got extra alternators and extra batteries in the trunk, Yeah. But I remember at times, I'd leave church and conviction would be strong on me. And I'd leave, and it seemed like, and you get into the music thing, and by the way, the devil, he's the minister of music.
And he was good at it.
He was good at it, and he's still good at it.
Yeah, he is.
And he that's one of his biggest drawing cards, I think, is he draws young people with music, and he gets their mind, and he takes them away, and he gets them isolated.
Yep.
And all kind of devious things happen when you isolate yourself.
Sure.
You don't need to isolate yourself. You need to be around other young people. You need to fit in. You need to make yourself fit in.
Yeah, you need to be around. My grandpa always said this: birds of a feather flock together.
That's right.
Not just be around young people, but be around people that actually want to go to heaven.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sure.
People
That's
of like-minded faith.
Right. That's
But
right.
like we've said so many times, find someone. Maybe your parents aren't saved, and you're a new Christian as a teenager. Find someone that you respect.
Sure.
First of all, get you a very best friend. Elbow to elbow in the altar, best friend.
Yes.
In church, who's in church,
That's
who's
right.
trying to make it to heaven, and then point out a Fred Smith or a brother Phillip Guthrie or somebody that is on his way to heaven, and get you a role model to follow.
Yes.
It's like the Apostle Paul said, "Follow me as I follow Christ."
Right.
He didn't think he was just perfect. He just knew who he was
Right.
taking his steps after.
right.
So he knew anybody following me, they're going to be all right.
That's right. But we'd get away from church, and it seems like the further I got away from, I remember this distinctly happening one time. The further I got away from church, that spirit would lift off me. That conviction would leave me, and I'd be all right for a while. I thought,
Yeah.
So I got a little older, got in high school. Still didn't, I went to church as much as they made me go to church.
Every time the doors were open.
Yes, and as a child, I remember, my mom and dad read the Bible with us, and they prayed with us, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remembered that, and I remember it even more now that I'm older. I think back on times like that, and I say, they were going through things back then.
Right.
They were doing, they had struggles. But they kept us, they kept
They
us
were
in the Word of
consistent.
God. They were consistent.
Man, that's awesome.
That's
awesome that you had that realization. Like,
Yeah.
their life wasn't perfect, but they made the sacrifice.
That's right. Yeah, no different than us. We have struggles now, but we got somebody to help us through them. So I went on, and I went through high school, got out of high school, and I just was not living good. And I didn't want to be a reproach against holiness. I didn't want to be a reproach against my parents. And a friend of mine had got sent off because he was, just got in some trouble. And they give him an ultimatum. His mom talked to the judge, give him an ultimatum of, you go to jail and do some time or go in the military. And he said, I'm going to go in the Marine Corps. And I don't know if it was the same time or not, but I said, I'm going too. I said, I'm going to be gone when you get back. He said, yeah, right, So I went and joined up with the Marine Corps. My mom and dad
How
didn't
old
know.
were you?
I was 19. I stayed a year out of high school, worked maybe with Fleetwood, and then just needing a change. Needed God.
Yeah.
But, just running. And so I joined the Marine Corps without my mom and dad ever even knowing, never even breathed a word of it to them. The day that they figured out I was leaving, the day they figured out I was in the Marine Corps is when I needed a ride to the recruiting station. And that's bad. Yeah. So, my dad said, well, you need some new tennis shoes. We'll go get you some shoes. And we all cried on the way to the depot. And I left. I'd already been down to the MEP Center one time to Jacksonville and got qualified.
They had no idea about that.
They had no idea. No. Yep.
So you're on the way to get new tennis shoes, and then
something I didn't tell you a while ago in the warm up. Yeah, we got the tennis shoes and got to boot camp. They always take you in at night. We went to an airport, met a lot of other people. They tried to take us down in the basement. They had refreshments and food and sandwiches, and I didn't want none of that. Just ready to get to boot camp. We got there. You probably stay up about a day and a half. I mean, by the time you actually get to lay down, you've been up a day and a half. They give you about 6. All you drill instructors can correct me. They give you about 8 minutes maybe to take a shower and shave. Okay. So I got in there and I was doing pretty good with the shower part, and I said, "Oh, this ain't too bad," So I got in there and started shaving. And I got half of my mustache shaved off, man, and they stopped me. So I had to walk around the rest of the day with half of a mustache.
Looking like Hitler.
Yeah, and that was cute. So what I done was, once they let us lay down, it was about 4:30 in the afternoon when we finally got laid down. They told us to go to sleep, and we thought they was lying to us. It was like, yeah, right, this is a trick, So as soon as we got laid down, everybody kind of chilled. I kind of snuck back in there and got the rest of that off. I didn't want to. But boot camp was good. It was good for me. I wound up being the 3rd squad leader, like I was talking to you about a while ago. I had a friend of mine that he was a better recruit than he was a leader. I don't know how that works out, but he was just he done better as a recruit. And so my drill instructor told me, he said the next time he messes up, you go get in the front and tell him you're 3rd squad leader. So I finished 3rd squad leader.
How did that go?
It was okay. He was okay with it. His name was Spencer. His name just came to me, but he was all right with it.
Yeah.
And the reason I enjoyed being squad leader because they start from tallest to shortest, and I was always in the back, and it gets stretched out like an accordion, and you're always playing catch up. So you're running harder than anybody in the platoon.
Right.
You're trying to play catch up. And so when I got to get in the front, I was good with that. I was staying. I wasn't going anywhere. So I graduated boot camp, and I would go to church services just because in there they had a Protestant and a Catholic church service, and I'd always go to the Protestant church service because it was so on Sundays it was just boring. You wanted to do something, But I never allowed the Lord to help me in any of those places. And my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. I went there, and I only had to stay for a year. But I didn't know where I was going after that,
I got a friend in the Marines right now.
Yeah.
Or a guy. He was my friend in 3rd grade or whatever, but he was stationed in Okinawa. He's a Marine. He was stationed in Okinawa or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever you call it.
So I stayed there 2 years. I got into scuba diving, done a lot of scuba diving and stuff. And but there was times when I was there that I would. Everybody thought I was always homesick, but I wasn't always homesick. But there were times when I'd go out on the seawall. They had a big seawall, and I'd look toward home, and I'd wonder, okay, when I leave here, how's my life going to be? What am I going to do? How's my life going to end up? Am I going to get married? Am I going to get saved? What I need to? I'd have moments like that. And I kind of, I'm sure I made bargains with the Lord. Lord, just let me get out of here and get back home. And a lot of people do that. Let me get through with school, and let me get through with college. Let me start a career. Let me get married.
Done with my plans, and then I'll include you.
Right. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. It
does not
work
that way.
No. You'll wind up wasting your whole life, and you hadn't went anywhere. Just like a man that come up to another guy at the red light one day. He said, where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm going, so and so to take care of it. And then what? He just kept asking him, and then what? And then what? And after a while, those then what winds up people's in the graveyard.
Right.
There's a little space between, born here. That's a very, very short time.
Yeah.
We're not put here to stay.
You're right.
We're leaving here.
I've said this a bunch in my preaching, that God is not just interested in starting you with salvation,
Right.
and then making sure you end up in the grave
Right.
and go to heaven.
Right.
He's interested in all of this.
Right.
That little short space of time that you're on the earth.
What
he
are we
wants,
doing with that time?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Who are we helping? You know, is it just self-serve? No, I mean that's not what salvation is about.
And so you're over there in Japan wondering all this, like, man, what am I doing with my life?
Times, yep. And then I came home and then I got my last duty station was out in 29 Palms, California, and went out there and just done my time there pretty much. You know, drove out there, drove back. I had old 78 Cutlass, and I drove that thing all the way there, man. And I had a trailer coming back. A buddy of mine had given me a little lawnmower trailer. His grandfather gave him, the guy from Iowa. And I pulled it all the way across the Rockies, you know, through Colorado, and took the long way home probably. But anyway.
You did. I can assure you.
went through New York City, you know, bouncing that little trailer around all over the place. But I got home, and I thought, you know, I'm going to do better now. You know, I'm going to do better now. And time just kept rolling on. My dad had bought an old double-wide trailer, a little thing. You could open one door and see all the way through the other end of the house. You know, one of those deals. And it had caught on fire, and the roof had fell in it. And so I'd moved in with, for whatever reason, I didn't want to stay at home anymore. So I moved in with my
I
brother.
don't blame you.
Well, that's the place I fixed up now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So
I
the
moved in my brother's house
So
for a little while.
you were desperate.
I was desperate. Yeah. Want to be, you know, I mean, I'd already been in the Marine Corps, wanted my own place.
Right.
Even if it was melting. So it had caught on fire, and the roof had just caved in on it. And I went in there and took about probably 3 or 4 dump trucks, loads of stuff out of it, and built it. And so anyway, I was living in that, and I was doing my own thing. I was working, you know, started back working at the car lot again. Had done that some prior to going in the Marines, and done paint and body work stuff. I actually went to Wear Tech and done some paint and body work. And so, anyway, this is 1996. I'm laying in bed one Sunday morning. I'm getting to the good part now. I'm laying in bed one Sunday morning, and my nephew Ashley was probably about 6 years old. And he would just periodically, you know, he'd say, "Uncle Phillip, you want to come to church?" You know, and I'd say, "I might, buddy. You know, appreciate you asking me." But I knew I wasn't going. You know, I didn't have any interest. To go. You know, and I thought about people would come by that was friends with my mom and dad, and they'd come up to the, especially this one lady I knew. She'd come up to the car lot, and man, she would testify to me, and she'd tell me exactly what I needed. And a lot of times at the time I didn't really appreciate it or know how to appreciate it.
Right.
But now I can look back.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you know, man, she was a disciple. I mean, God sent her there, you know.
Yeah.
And just those little nudges, you know, they add up after a while.
Even a 6-year-old boy asking you to go to church.
That's right. Yeah, so I was just laying there in bed, and I wasn't doing anything. That was usually my day, Sunday. You know, I worked all week.
Yeah.
Pretty selfish fella. You know, if I wanted to get up and go to Amelia Island, I'd get up and go to Amelia Island. Or if I wanted to go to the river, I'd go to the river, you know. And so I don't know if he called me first or my mom did, but it was Mother's Day, May the 12th, 1996. And so Ashley called me, and then my mom called me. I hung up, you know, old cord phone. You know. Hung up. I don't know if it was one of them. It may have been push button by then, probably. And then right after that, Andy Harper calls me, my cousin, and he had just got saved about maybe 3 months prior to that. I mean, the Lord saved him off of his deathbed.
Andy, if you haven't,
You may have to have him on here.
Well, if you haven't forgotten, you're on the hit list, buddy.
Oh, yeah, see there? Yeah. So the Lord saved him off his deathbed.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and he called me, you know, and I said, "I'll tell you what." I said, "If you'll bring me back where you found me, I'll go with you." You know, and he said, "All right, deal." You know, so he came and picked me up, and went to church. Of course, my mom was surprised to see me, and for whatever reason, I was just planning on going in, pacifying a few people, you know, and leaving, you know, cut and dry. And I got there, and of course, for some reason, I sit with my mom and dad that day.
Yeah.
You know, about middle ways of church. You know, and sinners sit on the back most of the time. You know, if they can get there fast enough before they beat some regular.
Yeah, exactly.
some guy that came in late for church.
Yeah, our church is backwards too. We fill up from the back first. You know,
We're West Siders. So I didn't know what Uncle Will preached that morning, but he preached about the prodigal son. But the Holy Ghost had me arrested. I wasn't hearing any of that. You know, I was hearing, you know, you need to pray. You know, you need to pray. This is it. I mean, that was my ultimate. That was my time. That was my day.
God draws.
And if I hadn't have done it then, I don't know where I'd have been. You know.
Yeah.
But my mom said she didn't think, you know, the altar call was over and people was up there praying, and she didn't think I was going to let go of the back of the bench. She didn't think I was going to make a break for it. And for some unknown reason, not really unknown, but, you know, some reason, man, I made my way to the altar, and I was ready to throw the towel in, so to speak, you know. I said, I can't leave the way I came. You know, I can't leave the way I came.
That's awesome.
You know, I was set on self-destruction. Just like everybody's set on self-destruction, you know, if you don't get help. And that's what God done. He saved me from myself, you know. But I got down there and I began to pray, and I began to make promises. And I didn't try to bargain. I knew I was guilty. We're guilty, you know. We're born into sin, you know.
Born guilty.
Yeah, and I didn't try to bargain with him. You know, and some things, and you probably know what I'm talking about, Brother Andrew, but some things you can fix, some things you can't.
You're right.
You know, but I everything that the Lord brought to my mind, I repented over it, you know. And I've thought about since then, David was a good repenter.
Yeah, he was.
Would you rather be a David, or would you rather be a Solomon? Solomon was the wisest man ever. Right. But look what happened to Solomon.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather be a David.
I
want to have a repentant spirit. I want to be somebody that's that God can not only use, but that He can work with. And you know,
that's why He rejected Saul. And Ryan and I have talked about that on the podcast. Right. Saul was a good king until God can get a hold of his heart.
That's right.
And God has to have people in leadership that He can use their heart. Yeah, he knew David was going to mess up, but he also knew David was going to repent instantly.
Yeah.
Right.
When his sin was brought before his face, he instantly knelt down and got it fixed.
Yep. As many times as I'd been to church, I went to the ladies' side. How about that?
Me too. Me too.
The Lord saved me on the ladies' side.
And see, you knew better. You knew better. I didn't.
Yes, I wasn't. Yeah,
I just fell over.
I was a little out of touch by that.
That's
point,
right.
You know?
It switched some stuff up on you.
Right. Yeah. Didn't mean anything to me that morning.
But did it matter?
No, it didn't matter.
So you're saying you did something out of the ordinary, but it didn't change God's heart.
Yeah, if we'll do something out of the ordinary, God can work with that.
You're right.
You know? Yeah, mundane. You know, going in, going out,
going through the motions.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to sing? You know, but
God
likes spontaneous.
Yes, He does.
Yeah,
he does.
He likes somebody with a burden.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He likes somebody to just break out of the norm and break an alabaster box and start anointing his feet.
That's right. So the last thing I remember saying, you know, I kept talking to the Lord. I mean, it was me and Him. You know, me and Him. And there was people in there praying with me. You know, there was people in there praying with me. I don't remember all the beats on the back and all that stuff because, man, I was just up under such conviction. You know, and I knew it was then or never. And I'd never been saved before, you know. Tried to do better a lot of times.
I'm glad that you're man enough to admit that.
You know what? You know what I got? I got saved on a credit. You ever heard of that? I had some things to fix. You know, I had to go back and talk to people.
Sure.
Yeah, I had to go fix some things, you know. And I had hate in my heart for certain people, you know. Yeah. But God, I mean, when He, the last thing I remember saying was, Lord, you know, I was thinking about that little lost lamb. Here I am. You know, and I just started walking around the pulpit up there, clapping my hands, you know, saying, Lord, look one more time. Look one more time. You know, when I felt the presence of the Lord infiltrate me, you talking about feeling brand new. You know how it is. You talking about, I mean, like a brand new baby.
I can just
That's
feel
what
it when
says,
you say that.
Brand
Lord,
new babe in Christ. You know, yeah. And immediately the scales fell off of my eyes. You know, and I began to see, when I walked outside that day, I was in a new world. I mean, the trees were greener. And I'd seen pine trees all my life because I'm from South Georgia, you know. The birds were sweeter. Everybody.
And the lie that held you captive for years is, I can't do this. Yeah. I can't live this way.
Right.
But you knew
Yeah.
as a young boy.
Yeah. I didn't know that He, you know, that's what I was saying. Lord, I don't know if You'll save me, but I'll do whatever You want me to do. You know, I'll sing. I'll try to sing. Whatever You want me to do, Lord, I'll do that. And
you're a great singer.
And if we're just, you know what I always tell people? Just Jesus.
Just Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, me and
when
Jesus.
when people ask you or say, Brother Phillip, you did a great job, you say just Jesus.
Just Jesus. Yeah.
I got a story. There was a guy, he was up there. I don't know if I've told this on the podcast, but I heard it. This guy was, doing worship music, and every time he would try to reverence God, when someone would say, brother, that was amazing, he would say, oh, it was all God. It was all God. And they say, yeah, well, you did great. It was all God. He said this old man came up to him. He said, bro, I just want to tell you, you did a great job tonight. He said, brother, it was all God. He said, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good.
Right. That's good.
It wasn't all God.
You remember what Brother Archie Morgan said about that, don't you?
What?
He said he took all the praise and all the criticism and threw them in the same trash can.
That is good.
That's pretty good.
Brother Archie said that. He took all the praise and all the criticism and threw them in the same trash can. Isn't that the truth, though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I done, I had some stuff here on my phone, but I don't know how y'all wind up dubbing this, but I came out of the dark. I came out of the dark into the marvelous light. That was the first day that I really lived. I didn't need a ride back home from my cousin. I went home with my mom and dad.
No more shame.
No more shame. Went home with my mom and dad, and immediately after I got saved, the Lord started working for me. I mean, I had things going on in my life when I got saved that God fixed that I didn't even know if it was right for God to fix. But He's God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He saved me.
And looking back, it's undeniable.
Destruction. Yeah, it
Right.
was God the whole way. He's always working behind the scenes. For the few days leading up to me getting saved, God was back there working behind the scenes, and I didn't know it. I was just being me, and He was being God. And
Working on your behalf.
working on my behalf.
And most of the time, we're looking over our shoulders going, did he see that? Yeah, he did, but he's too busy trying to fix a plan of salvation for you.
Yeah.
He's not looking to whip you or beat you into
That's right.
submission.
That's right.
What kind of love is that?
Yeah, He was.
You know what I
welcoming.
mean?
Yeah.
It's
Welcoming.
welcoming.
Yeah.
You want to know why? And I'll say it again. You're not a servant. You're a son.
That's right.
That's the truth.
You're right.
You better have a relationship with your father.
That's right.
And if you don't have a good relationship with your earthly father, don't blame that on God.
Yes.
Don't blame that on God.
That's right.
This right here is Acts 16:25 through 34. It says, at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed. And the keeper of the prison, awaking out of his sleep, and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword and would have killed himself, supposing the prisoners had been fled. Somebody preached on that the other day. I think it was Brother Steve, and that really stuck out to me the other day. Supposing the prisoners had been fled. He thought that had been gone. And the thought that I got from that was, if it hadn't been for Jesus, they would have. And if it hadn't been for Jesus, I'd have done been gone.
That's right.
Yeah, if
No hope.
you'd have done been gone.
Oh,
because
boy.
I realize that every morning I wake up, man, been saved 25 years,
Just like that.
Yeah, and every I wake up and I realize it's not me. We're not keeping ourselves. God's keeping us.
That's right.
Yeah, there's nothing good in us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and there never will be
No,
anything good
that's
in
right,
us.
that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to get on a soapbox, but
Yeah.
what you're
It's
saying,
God.
Ryan, is when you got saved, there was nothing good in you.
That's right.
As you sit here right now, there's nothing good in
No,
you. Your
it's all
righteousness,
God. Right.
yes, it's all
and,
Him.
And left to ourselves, just like what you started
Right.
with. Left to our own
Right.
desires
Yeah,
or our
yeah.
own will, or just if we ignore God for a
Right.
week and just go through the motions,
Right.
we are headed to destruction.
I'm pretty sure if I ignore Him in 24 hours, I am a goner.
Oh, yeah.
Brother Don
Yeah.
Ritz says, I'm a gas guzzler. I'm like, I don't even know
Right.
what you would consider me.
Right.
I'm so...
We need Him.
We do.
We do.
It's like that old gospel song. It's like that old gospel song that says, I need thee, oh, I need thee.
Yes.
Every hour,
Yes.
I need thee.
Yes.
I don't want to just say that. I want to actually admit
That's right.
I am a failure without Him.
And that doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're wise. And when you have a question, make sure you look in the right spot for the answer.
Yeah, you're right.
That's right. And I love play. I'm not through I got to tell about my family.
Go ahead.
Some of the other things God give me.
That's right.
But
bunch of them.
I love working with people in the altar. I don't care who it is. I don't care where they're from. I don't care where they've been.
Yeah.
When people come in and want to pray and they don't really know what's expected of them in prayer, I want to lead them. You know, I want to let them know that it's okay if you want to raise your voice, that's fine. You know, we've done it other places. You know, like we was talking about.
You tell them at home, look, if you want to raise your voice at me, it's fine. It's okay.
Oh yeah. But you know the consequences. That's right.
I am
now
a veteran.
Now you make the choices. Yeah. So I thought about today. I said, this is not the poem, but when we meet people, when we meet new people, let's not start picking out their faults, because if we do, it's not their fault; it's our fault. Mm-hmm. You know. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I think the Lord just gave me when I was driving down the road this morning is, we may not say everything we think, but we better think everything we say.
That's right.
You know.
That's good.
I don't want to.
Sometimes it's good to be an overthinker.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
No, I don't either.
No.
What do you mean by that, Josh?
Like when you think about what you say, you worry about your words speak louder than your actions.
It'll keep you out of a lot of trouble.
That is not true.
I think I got that backwards.
You said your words speak louder than your actions.
Yeah, I think I got it backwards.
That's not true.
But I
That's
still
not
meant
true.
it. Meant it for the good.
I think Brother Phillip needs to reread that quote. You need to think before you speak.
Okay.
That's right. He knew what he was talking about.
I knew what he meant.
My words don't always come out right either. I wrote this for my mom. I'm not an avid poet, or I don't write poetry a lot. I did some when I was in school, but for Mother's Day, the Lord gave me this for my mom one day, and it's got something about my wife in it also. So if there's any critics out there, I probably don't have it punctuated right. Probably not in the right perfect format.
You don't have to worry about that with our viewers. If we have anybody smart, they've already tuned out of here.
It's all about love.
Oh my goodness, these country bumpkins.
But it says, my first true love. As a child in the womb, your loving care, your sweet perfume, I think to myself, man, what a woman. I open my eyes for the very first time. I see your love for me as it entwines, and I think to myself, man, what a woman. As a toddler, I begin to grow. You're so busy, but I don't know. You have 6 more children from whom you love and care. As I wake in my crib, I sit and stare, and I think to myself, man, what a woman. As the years move forward and life unfolds, you always inspire me to reach my goals. Don't forget God, you'd always say, as things in life would crowd my way. As the love of a mother, you'd never fail to call on God. To him you'd tell. Just when you thought I never would, to Christ I turn, as you prayed I should. He sent me a wife that loves and cares, yet I still think of you and the times we've shared. I see my sweetheart, and in her I see you, the people you love and the things you do. You both had 7 kids, similarities not a few. So many things you both do share. Same kids, same God, same man you dare. And I think to myself, man, what a woman.
That's awesome.
I'm a pathetic husband and son.
Literally, when he started telling us the poem, I was like, I'm gonna go die because I hope my wife and kids don't listen to this episode.
That's awesome.
But I've got a great mother. I mean, she's never shown me anything but love, love, love.
That's right. And how many children were you blessed with?
I have 7, 5 boys and 2 girls.
Wow.
Yeah. I was looking for nothing but Jesus, more of Jesus. That's what I was interested in.
I guess your wife was really Christ-like then.
My wife was, yeah, it still is. But check this out. So I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm 10 years older than my wife. Mm-hmm. And she was, this is how that happened, okay? So right after I got saved, a few weeks, me and Justin McGovern had went over to St. Paul to a fellowship meeting. And we was kind of sitting up close to the front, and all the younger girls, pageant girls and all, was sitting back on the right hand, closer to the back of the church, not at the back. But anyway, so he turned to see me, and he says, hey, man. That's how he talked about them when he was young. Which one of them girls you want? And I was just kidding, because they all looked about 15 to me, and I was 27. I was like, I'll take that little short one back there. I'm going to marry her. And it was Nikki, and I was just kidding. Yeah, I was just kidding, you know. I thought she's about 15. And actually, she wound up being 17 and almost 18. And I still don't know why her dad let me marry her. But, hey, it was just God. You know, I mean, I wasn't looking for nothing like that, you know. And so they started coming. She probably don't want me to tell this part, but they started coming over to our church some. And her and Teresa Lee, and her mom had an old Chevy Astro van, probably about a 93 or 94 model. And they'd drive it over there. She had just got her license. And anyway, you know, and Tommy and Mary, my brother and sister-in-law, they would always play like matchmaker a little bit, you know.
Cupid.
Yeah, and they kind of, yeah. And so that's when Shoney's was still open.
Oh, yeah.
So they asked us to go out to Shoney's. And I won't tell that part, man.
I'm interested.
Went out to Shoney's and, okay. Not a big deal, but went out to Shoney's and, so I was going to order off the menu. You know, that was the first night we'd actually sit at the same table together. Going to order off the menu, and so I ordered what I wanted, and I asked her what she wanted. She wasn't a big talker, you know. She finally said she'd take the All-American burger. So that was just a little private. I said, "You're the All-American girl going to get the All-American burger, huh?" And she's like, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly how Amy acted when I tried to flirt.
Yeah. And so anyway, we just got this little thing going, you know.
Yeah.
And after a while, I'd go over and see her. That was in the time I think that one of her aunts had passed away. I remember going over to her church or her grandmother's house, and it rained. It rained at the funeral, rained them out, and so she had to go home and change clothes. And I was just sitting around looking dumb because I didn't, you know anybody much. And anyway, I mean, things just kept progressing, you know, and the Lord just worked it out.
Yeah.
Who's going to stop God from working? You know what I mean? You don't stop the hand of God, and I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
And,
Your Uncle Bobby says this quite a bit. He says, God can work and no man can hinder,
right.
and he can hinder and
That's
no man
right.
can work.
Exactly.
And I really do believe that.
Yeah, exactly.
I really do.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just I'll tell you a little bit about my kids before I quit on that part. But so we dated for a couple of years, and she got the Holy Ghost while we was dating, and
That always helps.
yeah, and was in some really good revivals. Brother Gene Walls came down.
Amazing man.
Yes, and that's when Christy used to be Paget. She came in and got the Holy Ghost during that revival. It was great, and anyway, we got married and started having kids. And I'm not going to tell you how to do your kids, but we let our kids sleep in the same bed with us. You know, everybody don't do that because they're only little once.
That's right.
You know,
I believe that.
Yeah, and so after we started graduating them to another bed, it was like, you know, the toddler bed beside our bed. We had a king size bed in there. So we got one toddler bed over here for Hunter when he was getting to be a big boy. We got a toddler bed over here for Hope because she was getting pushed out of bed by kid number 3. That's Chance. And then we got a toddler bed for Chance. And I was like, whoa, wait. I said, we're starting to look like Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs around here. I said, we got to do something about this. Yeah, we got to change
Looking like an insane asylum in his bedroom with all these mattresses.
Yeah. Getting a little tight, ain't it, baby? But anyway, so then we had Cameron and Caleb, and she finally named one after me. She ran out of names, I think. We had so many kids she couldn't think of. So my baby boy is named Phillip Drew. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he
So
goes by Drew, right?
He goes by Drew, yeah. And I get a little mixed up every
She
time
really
she
named
comes
him
in.
after me.
I'll
Thank
see
you,
some,
Nick.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see some
a
medicine
role
on the counter. It'll have Phillip on it. I'm like, oh, I feel well. I don't know what's going on with that. Oh yeah, that's Drew. And then Emily, she's 6 years old, and family's great.
Yeah.
That's the way God designed this world for family.
Yeah, he did.
And
He did.
And even I'm talking to you. Even if you don't have kids, there's a church family waiting on you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're not left out. You're not left out.
Yeah, and that's a great way to transition into what I want to ask you, because, you know, your story from start to, I don't want to say finish because you're not going to die when you leave here, Lord willing.
That's right.
Your story is still continuing, but how do you convince somebody who's this Sunday morning or maybe the next service that they go to is going to be gripping the pew in front of them,
Right.
with their heart racing, knowing that God's convicting them to go give their life to Him?
Right.
How do you show them where you're at now versus where they
That's right.
start
That's
from.
right.
You can't, but it's better felt than told. We pride ourselves with telling these stories over and over again of how God is so good. And Ryan, you'll agree with me. They're all different.
Yeah.
They're all different. But the same ingredient is when they say, enough is enough, I surrender.
That's right. I've told them that at church before. I said the key thing that we got in common, that's not the word I was looking for. The common denominator is Jesus.
That's right.
You know, I would have never met any of you.
Yeah.
I'm sure, quite sure.
I know.
Yeah. You know, if you hadn't have surrendered your life to God,
You'd
if you
have
hadn't
never
surrendered
met
your
me.
life to God, no,
You'd have never
we've
met
never
me.
met. Yeah.
I'd have been in the NBA.
And this is
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just wonderful, and being a Christian, it's wonderful.
amazing.
I mean, it's
It
God's
is.
that's God's plan.
It's amazing, man.
Man, I've enjoyed it. I talked to one of those 7 children. I talked to him today. He's wanting to know where some ducks were. So
Oh boy, yep.
I all but drew him a map. I did take him a screenshot of some Google Earth.
Don't forget, he's got Guthrie, but he also has Paget in him.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, buddy.
They sure do.
Can I say one more thing that
Go
a
ahead.
guy used to say? He used to say about that prodigal son.
Tell me.
He said he dropped the pail, he hopped the rail, and hit the trail. And that's what I done.
Say it again. Say that again.
He dropped the pail, he jumped the rail, and hit the trail.
Amen.
Yeah, and
Your Uncle Will
Brother
would-
Todd Sloggett said that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was
Yeah,
like, man,
yeah.
who said
He's a
that?
friend
That's
of mine.
great.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I feel like the prodigal son. He done all his repenting on the way home. I think he
Sure
repented
did,
all the way
yeah.
home. Is what I think.
Yeah.
And
I'll just
he was resolved to the fact that whatever happens,
Right.
when I get back,
I'll be.
and that's the way it
I'll
was
be
when I was
beneath
praying.
the
Yeah,
servants.
that's the way it was when I was praying. Whatever happens, Lord, if you'll just let me in, whatever happens, you know,
That's right.
you put me where you want me.
And you know what he did?
I'm there.
You know what he's done your whole life? He's exceeded your expectations.
He certainly has. He
Amen.
certainly has.
Promoted you time after time.
Amen. Thank you for your service, but also thank you for your testimony.
Really
Brother
enjoyed
Phillip.
it. Really
Awesome.
enjoyed it.
It's been a great one. We've enjoyed it. We love you. We hope you have a great week.
Hey, let me say it.
Go for it.
Is it under and over?
Over and
Oh, yeah, over and under. There it goes. I told you I was unique.